was of old, a shining star by day. Her mantle white was hemmed with gold, shoes were silver grey. A star was bound upon her brows, and light was in her hair. The sun upon the golden boughs, in Lorien the fair. Her was long, her limbs were wide, and fair she was and free. And in the wind she went as light as leaf of linden tree. So I wanted to make a little video in the forest sharing some poetry by Tolkien, and it's actually a song which was sung by Legolas, and it was when the Fellowship, it's from the Fellowship of the Ring, and it's when they reached Lothlórien, and Legolas sings this song of the maiden Nimrodel, who she got lost in the forest, she strayed too far, and she never made it to the elven ship where her lover, Amroth, I believe his name was. Amroth was waiting for her. He was an elven-king. And when Legolas and the party reach the waterfall and the stream running by Lothlórien, they hear a singing voice, and Legolas explains that it's the voice of Nimrodel. So I'll just read a little bit of that. I sang a little song earlier, which is the first 3 sections of the song, and this is the rest. An elven-maid there was of old, a shining star by day. Her mantle white was hemmed with gold, her shoes of silver grey. A star was bound upon her brows, and light was on her hair. A sun upon the golden boughs, in Lorien the fair. Her hair was long, her limbs were white, and fair she was and free, and in the wind she went as light as leaf of linden tree. Beside the falls of Nimrodel, by water clear and cool, her voice as falling silver fell into the shining pool. Whene'er she wanders, none can tell, in sunlight or in shade, for lost of yore was Nimrodel, and in the mountains strayed. The elven ship in haven grey, beneath the mountain lee, awaited her for many a day, beside the roaring sea. A wind by night in northern lands arose, and loud it cried, and drove the ship from elven strands across the streaming tide. When dawn came dim, the land was lost, the mountains sinking grey, beyond the heaving waves that tossed their plumes of blinding spray. Amroth beheld the fading shore, now low beyond the swell, and cursed the faithless ship that bore him far from Nimrodel. Of old he was an elven-king, a lord of tree and glen, when golden were the boughs in spring, in fair Lothlórien. From helm to sea they saw him leap, as arrow from the string, and dive into the water deep, as mew upon the wing. The wind was in his flowing hair, the foam about him shone. Afar they saw him, strong and fair, go riding like a swan. But from the west has come no word, and on the hither shore no tidings elven folk have heard of Amroth evermore. So I just wanted to share a little personal experience about a singing river, which I experienced in 2017. And I was fasting up on the mountains of my ancestors in West Island. And on my 7th day, I went down to the river and I sat down on a rock and I heard these beautiful elvish tones emanating from the water, and it felt like a woman singing, a beautiful elvish voice. And for a long time I put it out of my mind. It was just something I didn't really think about until I came across this passage in The Fellowship of the Ring by Tolkien, in which he describes a singing river. And that's what I love about Tolkien, because I feel as if he's able to give voice to a lot of shamanic experience and process, which previously I hadn't been able to process so fully. And through this book, I was able to process and understand more about the experiences that I've had in life. So I feel very grateful that I came across this passage, and I just wanted to share and read a little bit about it to you. So this is a passage from when the fellowship reached Lothlórien and they hear the river singing. They had gone little more than a mile into the forest when they came upon another stream flowing down swiftly from the tree-clad slopes that climbed back westward towards the mountains. They heard it splashing over a fall-away among the shadows on their right. Its dark, hurrying waters ran across the path before them and joined the Silverlode in a swirl of dim pools among the roots of trees. "Here is Nimrodel," said Legolas. "Of this stream the Silvan elves made many songs long ago, and still we sing them in the north, remembering the rainbow on its falls and the golden flowers that floated in its foam. All is dark now, and the bridge of Nimrodel is broken down. I will bathe my feet, for it is said that the water is healing to the weary." He went forward and climbed down the deep cloven bank and stepped into the stream. "Follow me," he cried. "The water is not deep. Let us wade across. On the further bank we can rest, and the sound of the falling water may bring us sleep and forgetfulness of grief." One by one they climbed down and followed Legolas. For a moment Frodo stood near the brink and let the water flow over his tired feet. It was cold, but its touch was clean, and as he went on and it mounted to his knees, he felt that the stain of travel and all weariness was washed from his limbs. When all the company had crossed, they sat and rested and ate a little food, and Legolas told them tales of Lothlórien that the elves of Mirkwood still kept in their hearts, of sunlight and starlight upon the meadows by the great river before the world was grey. At length a silence fell, and they heard the music of the waterfall running sweetly in the shadows. Almost Frodo fancied that he could hear a voice singing, mingled with the sound of the water. "Do you hear the voice of Nimrodel?" asked Legolas. "I will sing you a song of the maiden Nimrodel, who bore the same name as the stream beside which she lived long ago. It is a fair song in our woodland tongue, but this is how it runs in the Westron speech. As some in Rivendell now sing it." In a soft voice, hardly to be heard amid the rustle of the leaves above them, he began.